This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com. And today, as my special guest, is a part 2 interview. If you want to see part 1, it's in the description. The link is in the description. But this is none other than the Maestro from WCW. How are you doing today, sir?
Fantastic. Great to be here.
I guess you've been having some health issues lately. Do you want to fill us in on that to start things off?
Oh man. Well, it's a few weeks ago. It's kind of like certain things in life happen where things kind of catch up to you all at once. And I had some friends and family pass away, along with a rescue cat I had that I was trying to save pass away, along with a longtime dog of mine that passed. And got under the weather, and everything just hit me all at once. So I had to. It was one of those deals where you had to kind of step back and kind of pull yourself back together again, basically. So, but yeah, I'm doing much better and recharged and ready for a good year like everybody else.
How has your training been going?
It's been going great. Like I said, great to be back training, doing my thing. I just like over the weekend, I did commentary rather for Shockwave Wrestling Entertainment, and then this past Sunday I was I did a seminar. I was on the Shane Douglas podcast, and I was part of it there for Appalachian Championship Wrestling, which they asked about. We talked about you for a bit, so it was a good time.
Oh, really? Yeah, I like Shane a lot. How do you know him? I guess you know him from WCW. Any stories on him?
Yeah, for a long time. Yeah. Oh God, we crossed paths off and on through the years, and Shane's always been a class act guy, and we've had some great matches together over the years, and such a pleasure to be around.
Yeah, he's very down to earth, and he never really reached his full potential. He never, because he did in ECW, but unfortunately that never translated to WWE or WCW. But what are some of the matches you had with him? Did you have any television matches with him or anything?
Well, off and on through the years, with their various places, and it was great to be in the ring with very complimentary in styles and everything. And I've always respected the fact that he just, no matter where he was at over the years, he stayed true to his style, what he brought to the table, etc. Like with ECW, he brought more of the wrestling realm to the company, which is great because I've told people through this many times that good wrestling will get over no matter where you're at for any company, and we got a place like ECW. Shane Douglas was one of the wrestlers that brought good wrestling to the forefront, and even the crowds that they had, they appreciated good wrestling. So I've always had the most respect for Shane Douglas and what he's done for the business.
From the picture I used of you from WCW as the screenshot, apparently some people are comparing your look to Adrian Adonis. Did you ever think about that at all, or watch any of his stuff?
I studied him quite a bit. I was a big fan of his, and hear Roddy Piper and various boys tell stories, Adrian Adonis stories. Hear Jesse Ventura tell me stories. Vader and Adonis through the years was a real treat for me. Unfortunately, I never got a chance to meet him. I've always wanted to meet him and pick his brain, but I was a big fan of his work rate and his style, and the way, he was such a great wrestler back in the day, and very, very underrated.
Yeah, and he was actually really tough too, and a biker. He has the reputation of not being because of that Danny Spivey incident. But I've heard from a lot of people that he wasn't a guy that you wanted to mess with. And I actually did an interview with his daughter a year or so ago, and she gave some great insight into him.
That's awesome. It's funny. I was going to segue into something like that, where the toughest people in our business are actually the nicest people to me. They're more down to earth. They're more real. You know what I mean? And they're usually like my best friends, because we're just real down to earth and like to hang out and do stuff, and like the Hakus, like the William Regals. We're all just fit families. We're all just good friends, and it's just I've always had a deep appreciation for the monsters and the true tough people of our business, because they're actually the nicest people. So I feel every time I'm in the locker room with any of them, I feel a bit more down to earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been in the ring with Haku a few times, and he still has one of the hardest chops I've ever felt.
Oh my God, yes.
Did you ever
But
get in there with him?
oh jeez, Lord of mercy. Oh God, I've been on the road with him and Barbarian quite a few times, and a couple funny stories I'll tell you real quick. Um, One is we're in Orlando doing the TV tapings for WCW, right? And I'm in the back. I'm sitting there next to Ultimate Dragon and a few other the boys, and we're watching Haku and Barbarian match against two of Ultimate Dragon students there at the time, and I think Little Tokyo was one of them, and Tokyo Magnum, or I forget the names of the two students, but Haku had this one of his students in the corner just repeatedly chopping him, right? And Barbarian is like in the corner, tell him to tag, right? And Haku was just having so much fun chopping his poor guy in the corner, and you can see, and the camera panned to Barbie, and Barb was like face palming his head, like, "Oh my God, Haku, please tag me," right? And the look in Ultimate Dragon's face was priceless. So, and another funny story was Haku and Barb invited me to play basketball with them after one of the tapings, right? And they said I can go ask and get a partner, and I literally asked everybody in the company to be my partner, and everybody turned me down when I told them who I was playing, right? So it ended up being a handicap match, 2-on-1. And let me tell you something, I took more bumps on the basketball court than I ever did in the ring with him. I mean, I was like black and blue, and Barb was blocking out the sun with his big paw, saying, "Shoot, Bada, shoot," and finally, I tried to get cute one time and waist lock Haku, right, as he's dribbling the ball. He literally drags me down the court, shoots it up, lays it up, and scores, right? And after the game, I was like, oh, just all bruised up and everything. They took me out to dinner that night. So, yeah, it was a good time, man. Yeah, those guys are great.
I'm guessing that would have been on an NBA practice court.
yeah. Pretty much. It was, we had the whole deal to ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So it was really cool. But man, those guys, I mean, even whether it be in the ring or just doing extracurricular activities, we're always had a good time, and really looked out for me. So, I was always happy to be on the road with them, and we had some great matches too over the years. So.
Now, he had calmed down a lot by the 90s and early 2000s, but did you ever see him in action in one of his infamous street fights for Haku?
Oh, yeah. I remember I was on like a mini tour one time with him, and he had a match with Vincent, right? Virgil, right? And all the whole match was him chasing him all over the arena. Basically, he was just chasing them all. It was like seeing the boogeyman chasing somebody in their dream, in real life.
Now, Virgil's an interesting guy. I mean, I interviewed him. He's a very unusual character. I know he was reliable in wrestling, but what did you get from him from your interactions with him?
Yeah, he's unique, in his own way, but he was always cool to me, and nice guy. I mean, and that guy he'll try to make money everywhere. I mean, he'll put a gimmick table anywhere, you name it. He's a go-getter.
David would like to know, what was Sting like in WCW?
Oh man, Sting was like the coolest cat, man. I've always had a lot of respect for Sting, and I was very fortunate to be with Sting during all his different phases, to the Surfer Sting, to the Crow Sting, and all that. And he was such a class act guy. We used to call him Casper in the back, because he was like a ghost. He'd like float around, say hello, smile, and drift off somewhere. But super cool guy. Real, like I said, real stand up class act guy, man. I've probably one of the best people in our business.
Yeah, you always hear there was a lot of egos in the WCW locker room, and it was very much like a high school environment. I'm guessing Sting was one of the nicer ones.
Yes, one of the good guys. Absolutely.
Was there anyone back there that you found particularly arrogant or that rubbed you the wrong way? Not necessarily that you had a confrontation with them, but you always found that like they possibly looked down to the lower card wrestlers.
Uh, it's strange because, for the most part, a lot of the boys I got along with, and a lot of them I've known over the years, I've worked with over the years, and um, like for example, I teamed with Scott Hall back then, was Razor Ramon, and I was in Memphis with Gorgeous George III, and then some years later, when I first arrived, contractually full time with WCW, they just hired me full time. And I'm in the room, the agents, right? And I see Hall and Nash walking in the room, right? And Scott looks at me and calls me George, my Gorgeous George. Said, "Hey, George, remember we used to beat up Lawler in Memphis?" And some of those agents didn't realize that was me, right? And they looked over and said, "That was you?" So, of course. I thought you knew it already, but yeah, it was, most of the boys was cool to me. Where the politics, I guess, came from was, some people in management at the time, it wasn't just per se for me. It was just a lot of us was dealing with it, and we were trying to make something work. And it was like a lot of butting heads creatively. But we tried to make everything work that was given to us, but it was really tough a lot of times. So I mean, that's where I ran to a lot of it. Like Ernest the Cat Miller and I, for example, could have been and was on the way to being much bigger than it was. And then we had the rug pulled out from under us by management because I guess we're getting more attention than we should have. But that was per se with us. It was just a lot of us had to deal with that type of thing back then. But I mean, but we do what we have to do. It's like we try to do what we got to do, get our story and get ourselves over. You know what I mean? I mean that's that, and that's the name of the game of anybody, to make the best of anything you got.
Yeah, and you were there during a time where they were changing creative and changing management, seemingly like on a regular basis. It was like they would just not give anyone a good year chance to run things. So I guess that was frustrating to deal with. But who was your favorite booker to work with there?
Oh my gosh. Some people saw others as threats or certain things like that, but you know, I I I never thought of myself as a threat to anybody, or I was just happen to be part of the team basically, and like Hogan and I, for example, got along great. Macho Man was great. Those are the guys that got pretty much helped get me in with Bischoff and everybody. Flair was always good to me. Um, as far as bookers go, one of my favorite bookers were Terry Taylor looked out for us quite a bit. Kevin Sullivan is probably one of my favorite. Uncle Kev. Okay, and I've known Kevin for quite a while. And anytime he had a charge of the helmet, it was great because he was more wrestling mind based, and it was just great. And some of the best matches I had in the company was through the Kevin Sullivan booking era. So hats off to Kevin. Kevin's definitely right at the top. I mean, just a genius.
Yeah, it's too bad after WCW, probably due to the bitterness or whatever, WWE never gave him a chance to book because he's a good mind, if nothing else, to have on a booking team to throw out ideas. He's my personal favorite booker. But do you have any stories about Kevin Sullivan from your personal experience to share with us?
Oh my gosh. I remember a battle royal one time with Smoky Mountain Wrestling years ago. It's like come as you are, can you bring whatever you want battle royal, and I was in there with Arn Anderson was there, Kevin Sullivan. It was like the who's who at the time, and Kevin like nails me with a trash can, right? And he sees the trash can dead, and he looks up. I'm more so the trash can, He looks at me and says, "Man, you got a hot head, right?" And next thing you know, we're like double teaming everybody else with the same trash can in the match, and everything. And with Kevin, I've known him since his Florida Championship Wrestling days with Dusty Rhodes, and what a hell of a feud that was. And with him, doing the Army of Darkness and Purple Haze, which Mark Lewin was another guy I had a lot of respect for, and Kevin throughout the years has really helped me out a lot. We've seemed to have crossed paths quite a bit, and yeah, actually, he was like one of my big inspirations for the whole Papa Stroh thing that I've been doing last few years, and yeah, Kevin was like it was just fascinating the fact that his psychology was off the charts, and there were many people that thought literally he was the devil himself basically, and he would have the guys intimidated even before he got to the ring, even in the back, with his meditations and everything. But one of the smartest minds in the business that you'll ever want to meet. And funny Kevin story, Kevin Silver story. I tell you, I don't know about I told this to you already, but I'm watching Discovery Channel on the Legend of Mick Dodge, right? And he's like an ex-Marine, survives off the land, that type of thing, right? And he looks like a wild man in the woods. And I saw Kevin Sullivan on one of the shows. I was like, no way. How did this happen, right? So next time I saw Kevin, I asked Kevin, I said, Kevin, I just got to know, how'd you get on the Legend of Mick Dodge show? And he told me the story, right? He was just out there fishing because he loves to fish, right? Different places. And he was out there, I think, Oregon, somewhere in Oregon or Washington, somewhere that way, out that area. And all of a sudden, he hears a noise. He turns around, he sees this crazy guy going through the woods with a camera crew following him, right? And they asked him, they said, would he like to be on the show? And he said, yeah, sure. And that's how he was there fishing, right? That's how he got on the show. Pretty amazing.
Wow. Will Roll wants to know who you think is the most underappreciated wrestler from your era. I mean, I'm sure you'd put yourself in that category, but who were some others from that WCW era that never really reached their full potential in wrestling?
Oh my God! It's funny because I feel like if a lot of these guys were here today, that they'd be at the very top. Brad Armstrong at the top of the list, hands down. That guy could do it all and look fantastic doing it. And it's mind-boggling that a guy like Brad didn't go further than he did, because if he had good matches like with everybody. I mean, I remember watching a match with him and Barry Windham that was just amazing. And which Barry's another guy, one of the best big men in the business that could do it all. And I used to go those hour-long matches with Flair back in the day. And Brad, no matter wherever Brad Armstrong would go, I mean, he just have some of the best matches ever. And I'm thinking, how is this guy not a world champion? How is this guy not at the top main eventing shows every night? Because I mean, and one of the nicest guys. The Armstrong family is great, man. I can't express how great the Armstrongs are. All those Armstrongs are hard workers, great people. They were almost like a second family to me at one time, because we kept bumping to each other. And I had some great matches with everybody, including Bullet Bob, who was one of the toughest of his time, man. So yeah, I would have to say Brad's right top of the list.
Vanderstar wants to know your thoughts on working with Chris Candido in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and how did you find Sonny in WCW?
Oh man, well I met Chris and Tammy a long time ago, back during the Smoky Mountain era, and we're all like about the same, started business about the same time, and man, I loved being in the ring with Chris. Chris was such a great athlete, very athletic. Could pretty much do anything he wanted to in the ring. And what a nice guy. I mean, we had the same mindset on the business. He great sense of humor as well. I mean, just real down to earth. And at the time, him and Tammy treated me great back then. And fast forward, it was really. Yeah, the WCW, when they arrived there for a bit, I was happy to see them there, because I was hoping we could hang out more like we did back in the day. But of course, I guess times had changed, and unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to hang out with him much as WCW as I wanted to, like we did back in the Smoky Mountain days. But just Chris was a great guy, and like I said, he can do it all, and I really miss him very much. And Tammy's been through a lot, man, and I keep in my thoughts and prayers every day, and I hope somehow, some way, she can, you know, pull out of the struggle she's been dealing with, and make it, make a good life for herself. So, but yeah, yeah, I've known those guys for a while, and like I said, I miss Chris. Chris was a good friend, and you know, Tammy, I'm all the best to her, and I hope she gets through what she's going through.
Did she ever act inappropriately with you, or were you immune from that kind of stuff with her?
No, she never did. And I know her stories too, and all that about her and other people. But she always treated me great. I mean, there was never, as far as that goes, there was never an issue. As far as she was just happy-go-lucky around me, very friendly, and that was the extent of that. And if every time I bump into her ever since, she's always been that way. So no, I've never had a problem. She's always been cool to me.
I understand that when you were in Smoky Mountain, you were also doing some enhancement work for WCW. How was that experience doing those jobs for them?
Oh, that was really cool. Actually, it was a good learning experience for me being in the ring with some of the guys they put me with. Like, gosh, man, like while I was doing the Smoky Mountain deal on the WCW, and I was in getting to have matches with Max Payne and Mick Foley, like Cactus Jack, which they actually gave me quite a bit, and which they didn't have to, but which they did. Was very, very grateful for that, because they heard of my amateur background and everything. So I got to wrestle those guys, Tuco Scorpio, Marcus Bagwell, Sting, and a few others. So it really got my feet wet for what lied on later on with WCW when I got on full time.
Yeah, you mentioned you were an amateur wrestler and you had a shooting background. Someone asked me this the other day, so I'll ask you this question because I thought it was interesting. How, for the fans that don't know wrestling, how does it help to be a shooter in the wrestling business? If wrestling is fake, how would that help?
Well, it first off, the conditioning, because with amateur wrestling, that's anybody who's been on the mat will tell you that's the longest 6 minutes of your life. So if you can condition yourself to last 6 minutes on the mat, then per se you get into a pro wrestling ring and have matches that are like 10, 15, 20 an hour or so. I mean, it's a nice foundation to learn how to pace yourself, from the amateur ranks to the pro level. So conditioning is a thing. Also, it gives you a sense of how to command your surroundings, how to learn how to improvise. Because even just like amateur wrestling and pro wrestling, there's quite a few times, even though it's somewhat controlled, there are the times you have to improvise in different situations, whether someone gets hurt or you're caught in a rut, basically, of whatever it is that you have to get out of. You have to take the initiative. So in some ways, there are a lot of similarities with the amateurs and professional level, where you have to take the initiative. So I having the amateur background helped me tremendously, along with the MMA training that I did with PWFI.
Did you ever actually have an MMA fight professionally?
I did after my training, and but during that time, it was before the Octagon, before the UFC, and all that stuff. So I mean, it was mostly in rings, more or less the pancreation style, and I got to train a bit with Dan Severn, who was a real treat, and he had just got to doing some sambo wrestling with the Russian style, right? So yeah, that was cool. And Shamrock was with turned out he was with the opposing, with Pride, right? And we had done some training years prior when I was starting the business. So yeah, it was cool. It's funny how everything kind of intertwines together, right? Vader was with the company that I was training with, PWF5 at the time. Him and Dakota had a few bouts. Who was their champion? So it was amazing to watching them and Gary Albright, who was like a freight train, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, Vader's long overdue to be in the WWE Hall of Fame, one of the best ever. Did you ever have much interaction with him?
Oh man, Vader! I love Vader, man. I remember there's a deal down in one show where I think it was during my Gorgeous George third era, and it was during the time I think where him and Hogan were feuding for the title, and he was going around to all the different promotions, attacking people to hype up the match with him and Hogan and for the WCW title. And I just got to doing the Gorgeous George the third thing in Memphis, right? And I was in the show where he ran in and during my match, and he he didn't recognize who I was. He gave me one of those forms in the corner, right? And I should be watching different people he's been in the ring with, known to cover up. But I thought, I was like old school. I was like, no, I'll take it. You know what I mean? But I took that one shot, man. I saw like Tweety Birds, Rings of Saturn, you name it. So I saw that him coming towards me, his other arm, and I just initially just reacted because I knew if he hit me as hard as he did the first time, he'd break my jaw. I ducked the second one, kicked him right in the midsection, double legged him, or cross faced him, and I was called like, "Damn it, Leon! what was it, man? Do I owe you money?" And he looked up at me, right? And then the light bulb hit who I was. He's like, "Well, hey, dude!" I'm like, we're laughing on the mat. I'm like, "Just get me out of here, man." I'm gathering, and we went to the back, and I think one of the agents was like, like, what was that? What was going on, right? And Vader, he stuck up for me. He said, "Yeah, don't F with him, man. That's my boy. The Japanese shoot wrestling. You know what I mean?" And the agent just looked at us like, "Oh, okay." But yeah, Vader was great, man. I miss him so much. He was always cool, and I'm always a big admirer of what he'd done for the business. Again, another one of the greatest big men of our time.
Someone wants to know if you still keep in touch with Ryan Shamrock, aka Symphony, your WCW manager.
It's been a while since I've seen her. I saw her at a convention a few years back, which was great to catch up because it's been like almost 10 years since I actually saw her in person. And she was always great, man. She was always a real class act to be around. Always a lot of fun. Matter of fact, there's a couple times that her and I and Kimona Wanalea me out at the time. We hit the malls and stuff. We were like big mall rats, you know what I mean, for sure. Going shopping and all that stuff. But yeah, she's super cool, and I wish I had more interaction with her, but it was just one of those things where you just kind of drifted away for a bit. But she's always been great, and I hope she's doing well wherever she's at. So all the best.
Did you have to protect her at all in the back, or were you guys kind of just did your own thing in the back? Because I know sometimes if you have a girl manager, it's best to keep a good close eye on her.
Oh, absolutely. I did what I could, and matter of fact, this one incident I think, and well, I got heat for it, but from the office, but it's like I'm I'm one of those people that, I'll go along with whatever's given to me. I'll be a team player, yada yada, to a certain extent. But if I don't believe in something, and if I don't think something's right, I'm going to speak up. And I can't keep my mouth shut as far as that goes. So there was one incident where, matter of fact, I pitched the idea about doing some being in part of a little group with Crowbar and Daphne, which I was in road with quite a bit, and we were all friends, and I figured it'd be great to work with them because they wanted me to go into something else, right? And it was about during the time where I was kind of going doing the whole split personality slash evil Maestro, basically, where I was just showing more of the darker side, and I think it would have been a perfect fit. And they were doing they were hinting around at breaking me off with Symphony, right? And there's this one incident where they wanted me to really get upset with her, and after one of my matches, and certain things, and I was no, I'm not going to do it. Get physical with her, basically, but I'm thinking, what's the point? Why should I get physical with Symphony? Give me a break. So what I did was after the match, I just kind of gave her a look, and just walked off, right? And then I got in the back and I got all this heat for it, and I told him, I said, no, I'm not doing it. It's not right. I'm not going to. It makes no sense, and I'm not going to get physical, with my valet. I mean, forget it. So yeah, it was just one of those things. But I mean, sometimes people in the business that are listening, I guess they've come identify with this. But sometimes you got to make a stand. You got to put your foot down and stand firm. You know what I mean?
100%. Now, you worked with Jake the Snake in Mexico and on the Indies. How was that experience, and was he sober at that time?
You know what? Jake has always been good as gold to me, man. Still one of my best friends in the business. He's mentored me. I've had matches. I've tagged with him. I've been in the ring, worked against him, and it's always a learning experience. His mind never stops working. I mean, he's such a master psychologist. We would talk a lot of times all night until the sun comes up about not just wrestling but life and etc. It was just amazing being around him. We were tag partners for AAA for a bit back in '97, I believe, and we were part of the AAA main event for Triple Mania, which was amazing. And I remember one of the interviews we did down there, the guy asked him how do you like being back in AAA, right? And he basically told the truth. It's like we're starving, snacking on a box of raisin bread. The food here sucks. God. And I'm like dying because he was basically telling me like a whole week, right? Raiding the snack machines at airports, But Jake was a great guy, and a lot of the stuff he was dealing with, he never, he never brought it around me, right? Because he respected the fact that I didn't do a lot of the things that he did, so he respected that, and through hanging out together, I mean, it was kind of like a relief for him because he can just like have fun and just have a good time, and tell stories, do ribs. One of the funny ribs we did one time. We're at this airport getting ready to fly to the next town, right? And I'm sitting there getting ready, fastening my belt and everything. And next thing you know, I can't do my neck, and all of a sudden, I feel my hair is like tied to the seat. He had tied a knot, my hair to the seat where I couldn't move my neck. So I'm trying to unleash this knot, and I thought I was going to a dadgum knife to cut the darn thing. And he's over across the aisle laughing at me, eating a Snickers bar and on the seat, right? And the whole time, I'm laughing back, but the whole time I was like, okay, here's the receipt coming, right? So we take off, right? And when we landed, right, he's falling asleep with his fold-out tray in front of him with the drink in his hand. So I quietly go over there where he's at, right, and yell in his ear, "Wake up, Jake! We landed!" Right? He gets startled, man. The drink flies all over the place. He looks at me. I take a bite of his Snickers bar he had in his briefcase and take off down the aisle. He's chasing me down the aisle, right, in the plane. And he's like 6'6", but he doesn't see, as he's chasing me, you don't realize, how they used to have the movie monitors on the plane project down when you watch movies on the plane? What the monitor was steered down. So as he's chasing me, his head hits one of the monitors, right? All he saw was snakeskin boots flying upside down. And he hits the floor, and I collapse laughing and hold my ribs. He gets up holding his head laughing, looks at me down the aisle, says, "Okay, man, you got me." But fun stuff like that. We would always have a good time, and we looked out for each other too. Matter of fact, what happened when we got back to Texas, we were told like one of his pair of snakeskin boots and a few of my robes, Gorgeous George third robes, right? They were going to enhance him and make him look good for the next TV taping, right? Well, we never got him back. And Jake was like, "Oh man, we're never going to see those things again. Oh gosh." And I was like, "Oh yeah, watch this." Right? I was just as pissed as he was, because all of them were worth a lot of money and tailor made. So I called up the U.S. Embassy, right? Because I had some friends out that way, and I told them what happened, and they said, "No, don't worry, no, we're going to, and you'll be hearing something in a few days." I was like, "Okay." Click. So a few days later, we got a package in the mail, right? And in this package was Jake's snakeskin boots and my like 3 robes and an apology letter written in Spanish. Jake just looked at me, "I'll be damned." I was like, "I told you, that ain't happening, man. They gonna steal our stuff, right?" So yeah, good times. We always have a great time, and Jake has taught me so much in this business. And if anybody in this business should give a master class, it should be Jake, hands down, because he's just a master at what he does. And there's nobody like Jake. And through Jake, I've met mutual friends like Raven, Diamond Dallas Page, and Steve Austin, a whole list of others. So man, just nothing but love for Jake.
Was Jake carrying a snake around at that point still?
Oh yeah, it's funny because even our tag matches, right? We always look at distance. There's always a distance behind us whenever he brings a snake in, and he would have his snake with him at the towns.
Now, another guy that had some demons and still does, I guess, that you worked with was Buff Bagwell. Have any experiences with him you could share with us?
Yeah. Well, you remember the incident with him and Steiner? We hurt his neck. The match with the Bulldog went wrong.
I don't. Maybe you could refresh our memory.
There was it was a weird situation, and one of those freak things that happened. I mean, it was nothing intentional involved. It's just, I guess the way Steiner came down, or the way Buff took the Bulldog, a certain way during one of the matches, Buff had hurt his neck. Apparently, that's from what I got. I saw the match supposedly when it happened, but I'm not sure if that was actually the deal that actually hurt his neck, or he had heard it prior and then it just aggravated him worse. But he was out for a bit, and when he came back, I was the first guy he was going to do a program with, right? A few matches with, and I made a point during our match to kind of look out for his neck in our matches, and he really we appreciated that. And I've known him, Buff, even before that, I've done some matches with him. I did tag matches with him and Scorpio. Back with him and Scorpio, we're teaming up and all that. So and he's always treated me great. So but that incident where I kind of looked out for him during our matches, I mean, really appreciated it. And I mean, he's always been cool to me, man, and always wishes me a happy birthday every year. So yeah, and I've done some shows with him prior to that afterwards, catch up. So yeah, cool guy, man.
Judoth wants to know, how were the Rock and Roll Express outside the ring in Smoky Mountain Wrestling?
Oh man, those guys, Rick and Robert, man, they have helped me out so much over the years, and being in the ring with them, Heavenly Bodies, Midnight Express, uh, it is like an art form being in the ring with those guys, and so much knowledge, and they have they looked out for me quite a. It was them, Cornette, Tracy Smothers, and Kev was there too. Kevin Sullivan, Brian Time, Brian Lee, Ron and Don Harris. The list goes on, but they all looked out for me, man. And Tom Pritchard, Tony Anthony, Brian Hildebrand. They were a part of that crew that really helped me out quite a bit. And they, I've been in the ring with the Rock and Roll Express so many times, and I can't begin to tell you. It's a learning experience. It's such an art form. See them do what they do. Still one of the best teams ever in our industry, and always willing to help. And the fact that they're still going today is just phenomenal, amazing. So yeah, much love for them. They're very much a big part of my career as far as helping me out and helping me to get to where I need to go.
Chad has a question that I was going to ask you anyways, so I'll ask it to you from him. Do you have any Memphis stories about working with Jerry Lawler and Jeff Jarrett?
Oh man, tremendous! I loved being in the ring with Lawler, man. I mean, gosh, if you had to like work hard to be in the ring with Lawler, something was wrong with the universe. He was amazing. And such a treat to be in the ring with, especially in a place like Mid-South Coliseum. You get chill bumps because you think about the who's who, the business being there. Certain places in the world you go to, it's like, oh man, you get these vibes even before you get in the ring. So, yeah, Lawler was really great to me. I learned a lot from him. And Jeff Jarrett's dad, always treated me good. He had heard about my amateur wrestling and shoot background, and you're very respectful of that. And Tommy Rich, actually, who I teamed with him and Doug Gilbert, they were very appreciative teaming with me, and I learned a lot from them. And we had a great feud with a PG-13 at the time, and that was really cool. And being in the ring with Brian Christopher, we had some great matches as well. So that whole Memphis experience, I learned a lot. And Superstar Bill Dundee was very helpful as well. Not just being in the ring with him, but we had a mutual friend in William Regal, and it was him actually and Larry Booker, one of the Moondogs, that put in the good word for me through to Jarrett and Lawler for me. And matter of fact, Jarrett was actually the guy that got the ball rolling for introduced me to Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage to start my WCW run full time. So it's amazing how everything in this business intertwines, is like connected. And I got to work with Jimmy Hart, for the Maestro entrance and everything, and it was cool because we both had that Memphis background as well. So it's just amazing how everything's connected in our industry.
Yeah, speaking of the Maestro entrance, MN would like to know who came up with the Maestro character.
Oh, well, it's funny because at the time, right before the Maestro was created, I was actually in WCW as Gorgeous George, right? And what happened, Randy Savage, Macho Man, wanted to give the name to his new valet, per se, Stephanie Bellers. And so I was kind of perplexed at the time. I didn't know what do I do now, right? So I had a meeting with Eric Bischoff, and we talked about a few things. And the thing with Eric, he's the guy that hired me. And I knew right then, like back, my grandpa used to tell me years ago, is like, I always know who the boss is, right? So if you have a problem, go that's the guy you got to go to. So, and Eric was very approachable. We had a meeting and we talked about some ideas, and hear it about my theatrical background and all that, and which I played music, I acted, I sang, I did a bunch of stuff for multiple plays, musicals before I got in the industry. And which my theater teacher could have kicked my butt when I got into wrestling. Oh my gosh, I got an earful from her. But then she found out what I was doing with the wrestling, right, and all the theatrics involved. So she forgave me later. But Eric got the ball rolling before as the Maestro goes, and we pitched out a few ideas and angles. And actually, the thing with David that I started with David Flair, that was going to lead into a deal with Daddy Flair, Ric Flair, right? Which I was very excited about, doing a big deal with him, and it almost happened. We had the promos ready, vignettes ready. We're ready to make it happen, and just like a lot of great ideas, it fell through the cracks per se because the revolving door of the booking office, our management. So, but yeah, and it was cool because Dusty was a big fan of the Maestro thing as well. Dusty helped me out quite a bit. And I was getting actually pointers from Pistol Pez Wally, who was helping with the ring at the time, right? And yeah, we talked privately, and he gave me shoot me ideas. He gave me the idea about the conductor's wand, which was kind of cool, I thought. So yeah, but yeah, there was along with Eric, there's quite a few people in the company involved that were big supporters of the Maestro persona. So it's a throwback to the old days, of the kind of the old school type heels, per se. So I mean, it could have done better during that time, but I don't. There's some people, even when I was doing the Maestro thing, that didn't quite understand it at the time, with that era per se. But it was a good run. I got to say, it was a great run, and it could have had potential for a lot more, I thought. And it was on its way to do a lot more before the company started having problems, financially and all that good stuff. So
now there was that episode of Seinfeld around that time where the Maestro appeared. Did that have anything to do with the Maestro character, or give you any ideas to put that in your head?
Yeah, I had a lot to work with. That which I was a big Seinfeld fan anyway. Especially Kramer. Oh my God, Kramer! I remember watching him from a show called Fridays years ago, and I was a fan of his ever since. So I mean, then I saw the whole Maestro show. I was like, oh man, this is great. But yeah, I mean, I already had the Gorgeous George look, right? The blonde hair and the fancy robes and all that good stuff. And the seamstress there that did a great job making all my outfits. That was really cool. And so yeah, it was great. And the only thing was, I wasn't much on heights, right? With those entrances, I did. I had a stuntman I worked with prior to my entrance with the harnesses and everything. And I think I told you the story about asking Brett for permission to do that, because Sting and I were the only two doing it after the passing of Owen, which I had the pleasure of being with Owen and during Monday Night Raw show I did one time, and great guy, man. Owen was like real down to earth too, real easy going, and but getting back to that, I asked Brett for permission because if he wouldn't have gave me the green, if he wasn't cool with me doing the entrance, I wouldn't have. I would have told the office no, but he gave me the green light. So just out of respect for them, because the Hearts, I hold deal their Hearts quite a bit, because Nelson Royal, one of my trainers, he was good friends with Stu Hart, and he would tell me stories about the Hearts, and then years later getting to meet everybody, the Hearts, it was just I've always had deep respect for the Hart family. So, but yeah, that's how I got started. And one time the harness didn't come off. Right, I'm coming down from the arena. Right, I'm playing the piano. Sometimes I have to bang on the keys because the crowd knows to drown out the sound. Right, and Jimmy Hart worked with me in music, and it's funny because I laughed at him when I was doing the sheet music. I was like, this song sounds familiar, Jimmy. And it turns out it was the old Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff theme song I was playing. So I'm coming down, right? I'm going back to the story. I'm coming down from the rafters this one show, right? And usually I take off the harness to go in the ring to wrestle, that type of bit, right? But one time the harness didn't want to let go of me, right? The metal part, right? So I had to get to the ring with this harness still in the small of my back. So I'm going at it in the ring, and every time I would hit the canvas, that metal part of the harness would just dig in my lower back, man. I was like, I'm cringing. I was like, that was one of the few times I wanted the match to be over with, right? Because I mean, once I'm in the ring, I love being in the ring. I can go all night. I mean, my cardio, God bless, my cardio has always been good in the ring. But like that one time when that metal kept digging at my back, I was like, man, please let this match be over with.
The brother man wants to know, what do you think about today's wrestlers? Do you still watch AEW, WWE, or anything else? And he also wants to know what kind of advice you would give to future wrestlers.
Yeah, one of the guys that helped break into business, Dax Harwood, with FTR, him and Cash Wheeler. I try to keep up with them as much as I can. I mean, and I'm so proud of those guys. They have worked so hard to get where they're at, and they're arguably one of the best teams out there right now. And I keep in touch with them, some of my friends in AEW. Of course, you got Jake's in AEW, Manson, Lance Archer, and you got Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard there, and others. I try to keep in touch with the product best I can with them and WWE, people in WWE, and just wherever I can. I try to even keep up with like New Japan and different places like that. My advice were just I was telling some people at a seminar the other day, you can make any style of wrestling work, knowing what to do at the right times. But no wasted motion. Just tell your story the best you can. We're all storytellers, and preserve your body, protect your body the best you can. And a lot of younger guys, which I know the veterans get after them quite a bit, and you have, when you're young and full of vigor. I get that. I understand you want to take on the world and do all this and that, but it's that you don't want to give the people everything you got in one show. You want to keep them coming back for more. And not every match is going to be the same match. And you're not going to have the same person you're going to be in the ring with to tell the story. So you got to know, you got to adapt to your environment. It's like the old adage, work smart, not hard, right? And to and to go out there and tell the best story you can, whoever you're with, because it's a joint effort, and everybody from the people you're working with in the ring, everybody's got to be on the same page, and everybody's got to work together to have good matches. I mean, one can, like, the matches I've had over the years, I couldn't have done it without the great people I was in the ring with. I mean, it's not a one-man show. It's got to be a joint effort to make things work. So preserve your body, protect your body the best you can. It's good to give them people, great matches. Go on, have a good show. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all. And I totally understand. I totally get it that. But all I'm saying is, preserve yourself. Like I said, work smart, not hard, and take care of your body the best you can. That way, you can work a long time in the ring. I've seen people go out there and just bust the punches and do all insane stuff, and within the next few years, I mean, either they're out of the business or they're like, oh my, they can't even walk. And it's sad to see that, because a lot of them had the potential to be even bigger than they were if they would have been smart about it. So I just take care of yourself, basically, is what I'm saying. And instead of going out and putting your body through all that you want to put through, be the best storyteller, man, and make your style of wrestling work.
Mike D would like to know if you have any Nasty Boys stories.
Ha! Oh, nasty boys. Oh, those guys are great, man. Oh my gosh. Um, okay, here's one, right? Here's this was after a show. I think it was a holiday show we did, right? And we're in the we're in the club, right? And I'm hanging out with Kidman and Tori Wilson and some other people, and uh, Brian Knobs uh, uh, agrees to have a dance off of Ric Flair, right? And in this club, right? So Brian Knobs gets on the floor and does this like dance move thing with the lights and everything. And Rick is like, "Okay, nasty boy, get out of the ring. Let me show you how the Nature Boy's done. Hit it." And and the DJ puts on the Wild Wild West song back in the day. And Flair's like, and Flair dances like Ric Flair. He doesn't dance like you would think everybody else does. Him and Brian Hobbs doing the dance off thing was hilarious.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I've seen Brian Knobs dance actually, and it's not pretty, especially when he takes his shirt off.
Yeah.
But speaking of dancing, one of our female fans here, Barbara, wants to know about working with James Brown.
Oh man, he was great, man. I tell you, we before the Super Brawl show we did where he made his entrance, right? We got to talk for a bit, and it was cool because like him and Muhammad Ali told stories about my granduncle from years ago, Gorgeous George, and how much their influence on them and their careers was just amazing. It was such a treat and a class act guy all the way. And I mean, Ernest Miller and I were cloud nine that night Super Brawl when James Brown was there, and to see him make his entrance out there when we did an angle in the ring was just tremendous. I mean, that night was just amazing. I mean, huge pop. In fact, Mean Gene, the dancing machine from the Gong Show, was there, and he did the first impersonation of James Brown, if you recall, and then I pulled the wig off, and it was Gene the dancing machine, and because it was doing an angle where Ernest was trying to pass him up as James Brown, and then when the real James Brown came out, and the whole roof just came off, and I did the whole Fred Sanford thing where I just like fainted in the ring, right? And he's simply trying to wake me, revive me, right? Oh, it was tremendous to see him. The cat Ernest Miller and James Brown do the dance thing was really cool. And I get in the back, right? And Vampiro was there, and Vampiro and I were good friends, and yeah, we used to kind of hype each other up too, because I was a big fan of his, what he was doing at the time, and that was another guy I thought could have done a lot more than he did with WCW, because he was on his way, man. He had a great following, and he's waiting for me. I get back after our deal, and he's shaking his head. He's like, "Man, that's some of the greatest facial expressions I've seen." when he saw me look at James Brown, like, "Oh my god!" But yeah, it was a good time. James Brown was awesome, man.
How was Goldberg? I don't know if you ever wrestled him, but was he nice enough backstage, or how was he to see?
Oh yeah, Bill was super cool to me. Matter of fact, we hit it off because he's big on animal rights, right? And he loves animals, and I love animals too, right? And we got to talking about that, and he signed some stuff for my dad. My dad, God rest his soul. Yeah, Bill's always been a great guy to me. We did a movie together a few years back called Checkpoint, an action military film, which was really cool to work with him again and everything. So, but yeah, Bill's always been good to me. Great, and I know Fit Finley helped him out a lot in WCW, and he always had looked up to Fit Finley quite a bit for helping out, because Fit was the guy that I guess put the light bulb in Goldberg of how to with wrestling and everything, and because he struggled with it because he just come through professional football, right? So I mean, it's that transition. We were talking about transitions earlier with amateur wrestling to pro. It's and going from different sports to pro wrestling, it's pretty tough at times. It really is. I mean, I know personally, I had to break my amateur stance for the longest time. I couldn't stop having that amateur stance and to like a pro wrestler stance and the lockups and all that. But it took time for Goldberg too. I know Dallas, the DDP could tell you some stories about because he was helping Goldberg out too when he was breaking in. So, but yeah, Bill's a great guy. Been always a great guy to me, and class act dude.
And you mentioned Hulk Hogan actually helped get you into WCW. Do you have any stories you could share with us about him?
Oh man, nothing but love for Hulk Hogan, man. He's always treated me great, and I really owe a lot to him and Randy Savage and a few others for helping me. And Hogan was another guy I could always talk to, easygoing. Matter of fact, him and I used to be in limo rides with him and Randy Savage after some of the nitros and all that, and we hang out and stuff. And he was super cool. He was they were going to give me a gimmick for the not just for the Thunder in Paradise, but for the wrestling at one time as Reverend Headlock, because he saw me. I had a Bible in my hand, and he gave me an idea about the Reverend Headlock thing, where I'd be like this reverend on the beach, right? That sort of thing. And they never panned it out, but it almost happened. But Hogan was super cool, and you heard about the amateur background, kind of, like he told me one time. He said, "You know what? Realistically, you can probably kick my butt, huh?" And I laughed. I said, well, "Yeah, but what would be the point, You're Hulk Hogan, But
we want to stay on his good side.
Yeah, of course. I'm not gonna screw this up. But yeah, he's always been great to me, man. And there was no, like I said, with him and Macho Man and a lot of those, there was quite a few other boys. There was no political issues with them. There was no heat or anything like that. We always got along great, and like I said, it was Hogan. If it weren't for Hogan and Macho Man and a few others, I wouldn't nearly had the run that I did in WCW. So I'm forever grateful. And the thing about Hogan is he's always good to his friends. Like if you're a friend of Hogan's, he'll look out for you. And that's one thing I really always respected about Hulkster.
And Macho Man, you talked about a lot during our last podcast, but any stories about your friendship with him?
Oh man, matter of fact, Macho Man was going to try to get some outfits done for me by the Slim Jim guy that made all of his outfits, right? And I got to meet the Slim Jim guy, and he showed me a whole closet full of Macho Man outfits, and it was just amazing. All the outfits that they made for him, right? And they were going to make some for me too. I'm like, oh my god, I can only be so lucky to even have half of these. See what I mean? But yeah, he was super cool, and oh my gosh, to hear him and Hogan after the show do karaoke, doing Bob Seger's song karaoke wise.
How does that happen?
Oh, it was crazy, man. I remember one night after the show, I'm in the lounge with there's Bobby Heenan, Mean Gene Okerlund. You know what I mean? Well, I loved hanging out with them because those guys were tremendous, and we just had a good time. And we're all hanging out, and all of a sudden, Macho Man Hogan comes out of the room, into the lounge, right? And Macho stands. They look a little tipsy, right? And Macho gets on top of the table. come play some Bob Seger, turn the page, yeah, you know, and did it, and they started doing karaoke, man. It was great.
Now, for the fans on here that want to follow you on social media, where can they look you up?
My official website is thestro.com, thestro.com. My merchandise is thestro.com/merchandise. And I got merch for all ages, including parrots. Facebook at the Stro the Maestro on Facebook, my official Facebook page. Twitter @Destro, THESTRO. On YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stro Maestro. I'm on Twitch for all you gamers. Twitch.tv/RealPapaStro, and I'm on Instagram at Stro Maestro.
Last fan question I'll ask for today. Rick wants to know about the relationship between Hogan and Brutus Beefcake. What did you think of it?
Well, there was a few times that, you know, I bumped in the Hulkster with Beefcake, and Brutus, he was always kind of quiet, but he was cool. You know what I mean? And they were always cool to me in the back and all that. And Hogan did most of the talking. You know what I mean? but Brutus has always been pretty cool, laid back, pretty cool.
Well, I appreciate you checking in with us. I'm glad that things are going better after going through that hell you were talking about at the start of the interview.
Me too. Again, fans, thank you.
If you want to hear more of him, look in the description. I put the link to our first interview.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, and I'll let you close this off however you want, with whatever you want to tell the fans or plug or whatever. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. And thank you guys that are listening. Thank you for your support of not just myself, but all of us in the pro wrestling world. I'm also doing some acting as well. You can one of the movies you can check out if you're a DC comic book fan is The Devil's Daughter, or Harlequin Story, which is out on YouTube and Amazon Fire TV. I star as Dr. Arkham, who runs the asylum. It's got, Batman, Harlequin, obviously, Poison Ivy, Scarecrow, a lot of the DC personalities. So feel free to check that out. I got some films coming out too. Be looking out for Hybrid. Will be out soon too. Echo Lake Massacre, Stench of Iniquity, which will be out soon. And I'm gonna be on set soon as well for a horror slasher thriller called Tag Your It, where I'm portraying a detective investigating an urban legend, if you will. So I'll be looking out for that. But keep in touch with me, and thank you, Hannibal. It's always a pleasure, sir, to be on the show. And God bless you guys, and have an awesome 2022.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please help me out and like this video, then click the subscribe and get notifications buttons so you don't miss any of my latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates.